Let me ask you something personal, and I promise this is a safe space. Have you ever wondered if it's normal to still feel a desire for pleasure in your 60s, 70s, or even 80s? Or maybe like many of my patients over the years, you've silently asked yourself, am I too old for this? Is it even healthy for someone my age to still touch themselves? Well, here's the truth, and it might surprise you. Avoiding masturbation altogether in your later years can actually have negative effects on your health. Yes, really. From your mood and memory to your prostate or pelvic health, to your sleep stress levels, and even immune system self-stimulation is more than just pleasure, it's medicine. And Dr. John Ive spent over 30 years helping older adults live stronger, longer, and more joyful lives. And in this video, we're going to talk honestly and respectfully about what happens if you don't masturbate in your senior years and how reintroducing this simple private habit could boost your well-being in ways you might never have imagined. So if you're ready to let go of shame and learn something that could truly change how you feel in your body, stay with me to the end. And hey, if this kind of open, science-backed conversation helps you feel seen and supported, I'd love for you to subscribe and join our Senior Health Secrets family. Let's begin. You know, over the years, I've seen hundreds, maybe thousands of patients in their 60s, 70s, even 90s. And the topic of sex, intimacy, masturbation, it rarely comes up, at least not at first. Why? Because for many of us, especially those raised in the 1940s, 50s, or 60s, we were taught that anything sexual, especially solo pleasure, was something to be ashamed of. Dirty, secret, not for decent people. So when you reach your golden years, what happens? You just stop talking about it. You assume it's no longer part of who I am, or worse, that something's wrong with you if you do still have those urges. I once had a lovely 76-year-old woman named Marjorie come to see me. She was a widow. Her husband had passed over a decade ago. One day, she quietly leaned in, almost whispering, and said, "Dr. John, is it strange that I still think about that sometimes I want to touch myself?" I could see the embarrassment in her face, the worry that maybe her mind or body was betraying her somehow. And I told her exactly what I'll tell you right now. Your sexuality doesn't disappear because the candles on your birthday cake have multiplied. In fact, that part of you, the part that enjoys touch, connection, warmth, and even pleasure, is still very much alive. It may change, it may evolve, but it doesn't vanish. And ignoring it, that can be more harmful than you think. Here's the issue: when we cut off something that's natural and deeply human, especially because of shame, we also cut off part of our emotional well-being. We deny ourselves something that's not only pleasurable, it's healing. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but Dr. John, I'm not 25 anymore. My body's different. Of course it is. Aging brings changes in hormones, skin sensitivity, energy. All of that is real. But it doesn't mean the door to intimacy is closed. It just means it opens differently now. And let's be honest, some people avoid the topic altogether because of religion upbringing or feeling it's not ladylike or manly. But your health doesn't stop needing attention because someone once told you this was inappropriate. In fact, you deserve more freedom now than ever before. Freedom to explore what feels good. Freedom to feel good in your own skin. Freedom to claim this part of yourself without fear or apology. So let's reframe how we see this. Masturbation in older age isn't strange. It's not shameful. It's a form of self-care. It's private, safe, and scientifically supported. And the good news: more and more seniors are starting to embrace this truth. There's a quiet but powerful shift happening, one where people like Marjorie are realizing that it's not only okay to talk about it, it's healthy too. But here's the catch. Most folks don't know what happens to their body when they stop masturbating entirely in their later years. They just sort of let that part of their life go without understanding the side effects. So that's what we're going to explore next. Because once you understand the science, not just the emotion behind this, you'll start to see this differently. Let's dive into what your body might be missing out on if you stop touching yourself altogether. Now, you might be thinking, I've gone this long without it, how bad could it really be? And that's fair. You may not feel like you're missing anything, or maybe you've simply adapted to life without intimacy. But the truth is, whether or not you're aware of it, your body and your brain still notice when that form of stimulation is missing. Let's start with the basics: hormones. See, when you engage in any kind of sexual activity, including solo pleasure, your body produces a cascade of beneficial hormones like dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins. These are your natural feel-good chemicals. They help with everything from reducing pain to improving your mood. And for men, there's another big player, testosterone. Aging naturally reduces testosterone levels, but regular sexual activity, including masturbation, can actually help maintain a more balanced hormonal environment. When you completely stop engaging in sexual activity, those hormones dip even more. That can lead to lower energy, weaker bones, and even reduced muscle strength over time. For women, the story's just as important. After menopause, estrogen levels fall, which can cause vaginal dryness, thinning tissues, and discomfort during intimacy. But here's something many people don't know. Gentle self-stimulation increases blood flow to the pelvic area, which in turn helps maintain tissue elasticity and lubrication. In other words, it helps keep things healthy down there. Now, let's talk prostate health. In men, the prostate gland can become congested or inflamed if it's not regularly emptied. Multiple studies have shown that regular ejaculation, whether from sex or masturbation, can actually reduce the risk of prostate issues, including prostatitis and even prostate cancer. One particular long-term study from Harvard followed nearly 30,000 men and found that those who ejaculated at least 21 times per month had a significantly lower risk of developing prostate cancer than those who did so only a few times. That doesn't mean you need to hit a magic number. It just means that keeping things active, even occasionally, has real health benefits. And it's not just physical. When seniors stop masturbating altogether, it can lead to unintended emotional side effects too, like increased irritability, restlessness, and trouble sleeping. I've had patients tell me they didn't realize how tense they were until they gave themselves permission to reconnect with that part of their body again. It's almost like something released, a weight they didn't even know they were carrying. There's also a lesser-known benefit: urinary health. Especially for men, the act of ejaculation helps flush out the urethra and reduce the risk of urinary tract infections or blockages. And for women, increased blood flow and regular pelvic engagement may help tone the pelvic floor, which is crucial for bladder control and overall function as we age. Let's pause here because I know this is a lot. I'm not saying you need to go from 0 to 60 overnight. I'm simply encouraging you to view this not as something optional or embarrassing, but as something natural and, yes, even therapeutic. Here's something to consider. When we neglect or suppress a part of our body, especially for long periods of time, it can lead to atrophy both physically and emotionally. It's kind of like a house that hasn't been lived in for years. The windows stick, the air feels stale, the pipes rust. But once you open the windows and let the fresh air in, things start flowing again. That's what masturbation does for your body in older age. It's not just about pleasure, it's about maintenance. And it doesn't require anyone else. It doesn't require youth. It doesn't require any performance or pressure. Just a little time, a little curiosity, and the freedom to say, this is still part of who I am. Now that we've looked at the physical health benefits and what can happen if we ignore them, let's turn the page and explore something just as powerful: your mind. What actually happens to your brain when you reconnect with this private, personal act? That's where we're headed next. Now, I want you to think about a time when you felt truly relaxed. Not just lying in a chair or watching TV, I mean deeply calm. That warm, peaceful feeling where the world slows down and everything feels okay. That feeling is often connected to your brain's chemical response to pleasure. And yes, that includes sexual pleasure. So let's talk about what really goes on in your brain when you engage in healthy solo intimacy and what may happen if you never do. When you experience sexual stimulation, whether with a partner or on your own, your brain releases a powerful mix of dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. These aren't just feel-good hormones. They're deeply connected to emotional stability, cognitive clarity, and stress reduction. Let's take dopamine, for instance. Dopamine is the brain's reward chemical. It helps you feel motivated, sharp, and energized. Low levels of dopamine are strongly associated with depression, forgetfulness, and even Parkinson's disease. As we age, dopamine levels naturally decline, which is why activities that spark pleasure and mental reward are so important. Masturbation can be a natural, side effect-free way to boost those levels. Then there's oxytocin, sometimes called the love hormone. You might hear about it more in the context of hugging or bonding, but guess what? You also release oxytocin when you orgasm. This hormone helps regulate your heart rate, ease anxiety, and create a sense of connection, even if it's just a deeper connection with yourself. And finally, serotonin, which helps regulate sleep, mood, and memory. Seniors who experience drops in serotonin often struggle with insomnia, low self-esteem, or cloudy thinking. That's why gentle, consistent sexual activity, even solo, can actually help maintain better mental clarity and emotional stability. One of my patients, Alan, was a retired professor in his 80s. Very sharp, very disciplined. But he came to me after a long season of what he called mental fog. He couldn't focus and he felt emotionally flat. When we got to talking more deeply, he admitted he hadn't engaged in any form of intimacy in nearly 15 years. I suggested something simple, no pressure, no goal, just try reconnecting with his body. A few weeks later, he told me something fascinating. I feel lighter, like I woke up a part of my brain that had been asleep. That's not just in his head, there's science behind it. Studies have shown that sexual activity, even in older adults, correlates with better memory, sharper recall, and lower stress hormone levels. And it's not only about the chemicals, it's also about self-worth. When seniors shut down that part of themselves, even silently, it can erode how they see themselves. I'm not desirable anymore. That part of life is over. Those thoughts carry weight, and they affect your mood confidence, and even your desire to engage socially. On the flip side, when you honor your body and allow yourself that kind of gentle personal care, it sends a message to your brain. I'm still here. I still matter. My needs still count. And that message is incredibly powerful. It reduces anxiety, combats loneliness, and even encourages neuroplasticity. That's your brain's ability to form new connections and stay adaptable as you age. Here's a little-known fact. In one study from Coventry University in the UK, researchers found that older adults who were sexually active scored higher on certain cognitive tests than those who were not. We're not talking about marathon runners here. We're talking about everyday folks like you simply staying in touch with this side of themselves. Even if you live alone, even if your mobility has changed, even if you haven't done anything like this in years, the brain remembers. And when you invite this kind of stimulation back into your life, the brain responds. So if you've been struggling with brain fog, low mood, or even poor sleep, it may be time to look beyond the pill bottle and consider something a little more human. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is a cure-all, but I am saying it's a tool. A simple, safe, and natural one that can support your brain health in ways many people overlook. And the best part, it's entirely in your control. But there's still one more important piece we need to talk about, and that's sleep immunity and overall vitality. Because if you've ever tossed and turned at night, or felt like your get up and go has gotten up and gone, well, this next part might just surprise you. Let me ask you, how'd you sleep last night? If you're like many older adults, you might have tossed and turned, woke up at 3 a.m., stared at the ceiling for an hour before falling back asleep. Sound familiar? Well, here's something you might not expect to hear from a doctor. Masturbation could actually help you sleep better. Yes, you heard that right. And I'll explain why from a medical, science-based perspective. When you experience sexual release, especially orgasm, your body shifts into what we call the parasympathetic nervous system response. That's the part of your nervous system responsible for rest and relaxation. It slows your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, and calms your breathing. In other words, it helps your body unwind deeply. And as I mentioned earlier, that release of oxytocin and serotonin doesn't just make you feel good emotionally, it also prepares your brain for sleep. It's like a natural sedative. No pills, no side effects, just your body doing what it's designed to do. Now let's talk immunity. You might not connect the two, but hear me out. When you orgasm, your body experiences a short-term boost in white blood cells. Those are the little soldiers in your body that fight off illness. Studies show that sexual activity can enhance immune system performance, likely due to the combined effects of stress reduction hormone balance and improved circulation. In fact, a German study once measured immune markers before and after masturbation and found a measurable uptick in immune activity shortly after. That means more protection against colds, viruses, and even inflammation. And then there's energy. This one often surprises people. Many seniors think I just don't have the energy for that anymore. But often it's the lack of intimate stimulation that contributes to that sluggishness. Think about it. When you're disconnected from your own pleasure and your circulation slows, your body starts to feel less engaged, less alive. But even occasional self-stimulation increases blood flow, including to your brain and extremities, which improves oxygen delivery and energy levels. It's like jump-starting your system. Let me share a story. There's a gentleman I worked with named Robert, age 74. He had low energy, poor sleep, and had been in a funk for months. He wasn't depressed exactly, but he described feeling flat, like his body was just going through the motions. When we talked, He admitted he hadn't touched himself in over 10 years, mostly because he thought it was pointless at his age. I encouraged him to try not for performance, not for climax, even, but simply to reconnect with sensation, to explore, to breathe, and to treat it like self-care. He came back 2 months later with brighter eyes, and the first thing he said, "I don't know what happened, Doc. I'm sleeping better, and I've even started walking in the mornings again." Now, do I think masturbation alone changed Robert's life? Not entirely, but I do believe it opened the door. It reminded his body how to feel again. It helped him rest better, feel calmer, and gave him the lift he needed to get moving again. And that's the key. Vitality isn't just about what you do, it's about what you let yourself feel. If you've been struggling with poor sleep, frequent illness, or just low drive, you might be looking for answers in all the usual places: vitamins, medications, exercise routines. And those things matter. But don't forget this simple, natural act that you can do quietly, safely, and without any equipment or appointments. You don't need to be in a relationship. You don't need to feel ashamed. You just need permission from yourself to honor the body you're in. And let's be honest, at this stage in life, you've earned that freedom. Now, in a moment, we're going to wrap up everything we've talked about. But before we do, I want to leave you with this. There's no expiration date on pleasure, health, or personal discovery. Your body may change, that's normal. But your right to feel good, to sleep soundly, to think clearly, to move with energy, that right never fades. And if you're open to it, reconnecting with self-pleasure might just be one of the most powerful private health habits you can embrace in your golden years. Now, let's bring this all together. So here's the big takeaway, my friend. Masturbation in older age isn't just okay, it's actually good for you. It supports your heart, your brain, your sleep, your immune system, and your emotional well-being. And most importantly, it reconnects you with yourself. If you've been avoiding this part of your life because of shame, fear, or just habit, I invite you to give yourself grace. You're not broken, you're not too old, you're not done. You're human. And your health, all of it matters. Try what we've talked about today and see how you feel. Even once or twice a week can make a difference. And if this message resonated with you, I'd love to know. Comment 1 below if this helped you. And if you know someone who might benefit from hearing this, a friend, a partner, even your adult kids, feel free to share this video. Don't forget to subscribe to Senior Health Secrets for more simple science-backed tips to help you feel your best at any age. And remember, aging isn't about fading away. It's about learning how to glow from the inside out. Until next time, take care of yourself, body, mind, and heart. Dr. John,